Okay, hi everybody. I'm going to do kind of two videos in a row here. So this first one is going to go over like how to read and interpret this particular drawing, and it'll also mostly talk about section views and detail views, and then the next video will be actually creating this part in SolidWorks. Um, so let's start looking at this thing. So this is a lovely steering wheel we have, as you can tell by both the name and the beautiful isometric view. And then we have our front view here. And so from our front view, we can see that we can see all of our cutouts, which are the same throughout. There's 5 of them, so we can use a circular pattern to do that one. And then while we're just talking about the cutouts, the way I like to do this part is to draw my center line from my origin straight up, and then from my origin some angle, and then add this angle dimension in there. And then I like to draw my top arc and my bottom arc. And you can do this as a circle as well, because the center point is also going to be your origin. Then once I do that, I'll add in my just straight lines. So this one is going to be vertical. I realize you cannot really see that. Okay, let's try this again. This one is going to be vertical. This is my little relation box here. And then I can make these two parallel. So that way I know that they are oriented how they are supposed to. And then I can add in that 1 inch on both sides. And when I make my lines, I'll make sure I go from arc to arc or circle to circle, however you drew it. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add in these little fillets here. I'm really exaggerating the curves just because, especially on this bottom part, you have like one going this way and then your fillets go the opposite direction, which sometimes people have a hard time seeing that. So that's why I'm really emphasizing those curves there. And then just to touch on dimensions real quick. So this 0.5 applies to these two little fillets. And we have this 8.5, which is our big arc. And then we have our 2, which are our other little fillets here. And then last but not least is our 4, which is our inside arc, our inside circle. So that's those cuts. They can be kind of hard to visualize, so I like to point those out. Yeah, one other thing to kind of note is if you were to draw, sorry, let me reword that. I like to sketch the cutouts on this face, so I will select this face to start my sketch, and then I will just sketch here in the middle. And then when I extrude, it'll be a nice cut. I don't like using angled surfaces. Sometimes I think things get wonky and it just gets weird. Because then your cuts are going to end up going out in different directions instead of just going straight through. Anyways, let's get to the point of this video here with our section views and detail views. So whenever you see, I'm going to erase all of this because it's making it difficult to point things out. I'm just going to draw over it some more. So when you see a nice little circle with arrows on the end pointing to a letter, that's telling you you have a detail view somewhere. So a detail view just blows up whatever is inside the little circle with arrows on the end. Because if we were to try to dimension this little notch here, it would be really hard to see just in our standard front view. So we just say, okay, we're going to make this a detail view so that we can really see what's going on. And it makes the drawing a lot cleaner and easier to read. And it's just, it is good. So if you see this circle with the arrows pointing to a letter, look for the detail view that corresponds to that letter. Continuing, so now, while we're on detail views, let's take a look at detail B. So like I said before, it just takes whatever is in the circle and blows it up. And we know it blows it up not only just by it looks bigger, but we also have a different scale here. So the drawing scale is 1 to 8, while our detail view scales are 1 to 4. So it's just really blowing it up for us so we can really see what's happening in there. So the last thing I want to cover today, or right now in this video, is section views. This is something a lot of people have a hard time visualizing and seeing. So we have our cutting plane line. Cutting plane line is going to have these big arrows on the end pointing to a letter. And then those letters we can find by our section view. So a section view, we're basically just our cutting plane line, think of it as like a fake knife, theoretical knife. So we're taking our knife and we're just cutting straight through this thing. Well, not straight through it, but at an angle. So we're going to cut through this thing. And then we're just going to remove this part. And then we're looking at the inside here. So if we look at it up here, so it kind of comes straight down through our little keyhole, and then I'm just going to do it this way because it's easier to draw. So it's like if we just removed this part and now we're looking at our object. Yeah, so that's the first part that can be a little difficult to visualize. The second part here is the section view itself. So you'll notice we have these little cross hatch lines here. So those represent cutting through a solid material. So the way I like to explain this, the way most people seem to understand, is think of a coconut. So if we have a coconut and we cut straight through this thing, here's my cutting plane line. This is a coconut. Then if we look at our section view of our coconut, only, because coconuts are hollow, right? That's where all their lovely little coconut water is. So if I were to cut straight down the middle of the coconut, the only part that my knife is actually touching is this outside area. So wherever your knife is cutting through a solid material, that's where you're going to get these little hatch marks. Everything else, like all this, I'll use a different color. All this stuff here, that's just in the background. We don't care about that. It's just there. So for this one, I'll cover this in the next video a little more, I think. So this is going to be a revolve. So here's my center line here. And so because it's a revolve, I only need to draw or sketch half of my object. So this is all I'm going to sketch in SOLIDWORKS for my first little sketch. I'll add in all my dimensions, I'll make it all nice and pretty, and then I will revolve it, and then I would go and add in my cut and my little keyhole, and then I'm good to go. I'd also change the material, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So I hope this clarifies detail views and section views at least a little bit, and I'll see you soon.